A rainy day outside is a good day to finish up the 6-liter swap on the Monte Carlo. Let's talk about what's going on. Stick around. Hey everybody, what's going on? Welcome back to the garage, and we are back here working on the Monte Carlo, getting the big block out, which is over in the corner, and working on the 6-liter swap. We're almost there. We got a couple small things that I wanted to go over that we're going to be working on, and I'll try and update. I'm not going to record me doing all these small things, but I'll give you a rundown, and as we go, we'll cut to those scenes, whatever you want to call them. I don't know. Video stuff. Okay, here is our 6-liter iron block 6-liter 799 heads. Speed Engineering headers went in fairly well over here. We're using the ICT billet motor plates. I don't know how well you're going to be able to get down in there and see them, along with some solid motor mounts. Corvette, we're going with Corvette offset. I still got to put the damper on. I don't have a flex plate on because the flex plate is stuck on the big block. All the flex plates that I had did not work because this has a long crank. So with a long crank, you need a flat flex plate. ICT alternator power steering. We are doing power steering, which means this box has to go and that box has to go in. But some of you may ask, why are we doing power steering on a big tire car? Well, if we're going to use this for any drag and drive events, power steering is worth its weight in gold. Headers over here, we've got a little interference down there that's going to have to be malletized out. As you can see how close that's gotten to mounting up. Just needs to be banged on a little bit. Once we get this up in the air, I'll mark the area so we can go ahead and hammer that out. Outside of that, fuel stuff, bunch of fittings, regulators, gauges, all that jazz. I got a fuel pump over there somewhere to replace the existing stuff. So this was the carburetor regulator, this was the nitrous regulator. Essentially what we're going to do is use the carburetor line as our feed. We'll replace the carburetor fuel pump with a EFI fuel pump, and then we'll use this line and repurpose it as our return line off of it. This is just nitrous. So don't ask me. A trailer plug, speaker wire, pressure gauge. We've got to figure out what some of this stuff is so we can repurpose, because essentially what we're going to do is whenever we drop our harness on and mount the ECU in there, we will keep our fuel pump power the same, and then our ignition power that used to be for our distributor will now go over to the ECU, so we can just power up the ECU individually, and then we'll give her the old turn of the key to crank the thing up. So that's where we're at. Transmission has to go back in. We have to get the transmission cross mount to line up. Hopefully it's fairly close. This is a pretty good area. Eyeballing where the big block of the big block was, it may have been just a little bit closer forward or further forward, but should be close enough that we can use the existing drive shaft. I'm hoping that we don't have to take the engine out and jockey around the mounts to make that work. So that's where we're at. Let's get some work done. True to our name, goat rope has been nothing but a goat rope. So got the new steering box mounted. Pitman arm doesn't fit, and I don't quite get this. There's a power steering pitman arm and a manual steering pitman arm. The power steering pitman arm, where it attaches to the bottom of the box, is like a 1/16 of an inch bigger inside diameter. It's minute. But other than that, that all went pretty good. We've got our pressure line from our pump. The next issue that we're running into is now our pulley is going to get into our fitting. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do there. In fact, I've got a underdriven power steering pump pulley on the way that we're going to try. That should just clear that. Honestly, probably not going to be much of an issue because it's only, you know, like 10% underdrive, which means at 1,000 RPMs or 900 RPMs. Now, on this setup, I do have a different layout for alternator and power steering that I could do, but it is not the Corvette spacing, and so I'd have to get a different damper and different water pump. I don't want to have to go that route. I've got all this stuff. If I can get the smaller pulley to work and clear this fitting, we should be good to go. The only other issue I'm going to have is mounting up the reservoir. It would normally kind of mount right there. Might still be able to get it to work properly. I haven't really played around with it. All else fails though, we can probably just attach it to one of the side rails here. Something else also is I had to get the ICT mounts for the coils because I realized I did not have the coil mounts. I had already ordered the standard stock style plugs that just drop down from the coil straight to the plugs, or else I'd go ahead and do a remote mount since I've got plenty of kits with the remote mounts. Obviously we got plenty of firewall where we just mount the coils to the firewalls and run the wires, but we're going to keep it stock for now. Okay, so that is where we're at today. I will do another update video. I don't know if there will be enough stuff to show up tomorrow, but the next day there will be enough to show up to go through and button some of this up and get closer. Couple small things I've got to do and double check is sensors and stuff on the back of the intake manifold, radiator hoses, which I should be able to find something that'll work down at the local parts store. And that's really about it. After that, we should be kind of good to go for firing this thing up, turning it over. So I was hoping to get to the point of getting the transmission mounted today. If I'd gotten the steering done, I mean, essentially we're finding everything that we're lacking. So we've started on multiple things, not finished a single one today. That's the way these things go. So you just learn to live with that. Don't get down on it. Just pick yourself back up, find something else to work on, and keep moving down the chain until you get the thing ready to fire. So listen, I'm going to get back to it. You guys know the drill. Thanks for stopping by the garage. Remember, ABT, always be tuning.